January 22nd, 1942. Lake Ladoga, Soviet Union. 4:17 in the morning. The temperature outside is minus 40 degrees Celsius. Truck driver Maksim Tverdokhleb sits behind the wheel of his Gaz AA cargo truck, staring through the open window at the ice beneath his tires. The ice is 20 centimeters thick. Maybe. It's hard to tell in the darkness, with only moonlight reflecting off the frozen surface. His truck weighs 2 tons empty. Fully loaded with sacks of flour and bread for the starving city of Leningrad, it weighs closer to 7 tons. 7 tons of steel and precious food sitting on 20 centimeters of frozen water. The ice makes a sound. Not a gentle creak. A deep, threatening groan from somewhere beneath him. Cracks spread out from under his tires. Black spiderweb lines against white ice. Visible even in the darkness. Moving. Growing. Behind him, stretching back into the night, are 300 more trucks. Each one carrying food. Each one weighing several tons. Each one gambling that the ice will hold for 30 more kilometers. Ahead of him, 30 kilometers of frozen lake. No pavement, no bridges, no safety. Just ice over water. That's 200 meters deep in places. This is the only route into Leningrad. The only way to get food to 2.5 million people who are starving to death. The ice cracks again. Louder this time. The sound echoes across the frozen lake like a gunshot. Maksim doesn't stop driving. Can't stop. The rules are clear. Never stop on the ice. A stopped truck concentrates all its weight on one spot. The ice breaks. The truck sinks. Forward motion distributes the weight. Keeps you moving. Keeps you alive. Probably. If Maksim stops, people in Leningrad die. If the ice breaks beneath him, he dies. If he turns back, the entire city dies. He presses the accelerator. The engine roars. The truck lurches forward. The tires spin slightly before finding traction. The ice groans one more time, and then holds. Barely. This is the road of life. Russians call it the Doroga Zhizny, the desperate supply route across frozen Lake Ladoga that kept Leningrad alive during the longest siege in modern history. 872 days. That's how long it lasted. From September 8th, 1941 to January 27th, 1944. 2 years, 4 months, 19 days of hell. 2.5 million people trapped inside a city completely surrounded by Nazi German forces. No food coming in, no fuel, no medicine, no way to escape except across this frozen lake during the few months each winter when it was solid enough to drive on. Adolf Hitler's orders were explicit. Erase the city from the face of the earth. We have no interest in preserving even a part of this population. The German plan was simple and brutal. Don't waste soldiers trying to capture the city. Just surround it. Cut off all supplies. Wait. Let the Russian winter do the killing. Let starvation finish what artillery started. Hitler was almost right. 1.5 million people died in Leningrad during the siege. Some estimates say 2 million. Most didn't die from German bombs or bullets. They died from starvation, from freezing in their unheated apartments, from diseases that killed people eating 125 grams of sawdust bread per day. But the city didn't fall. It didn't surrender. It didn't give Hitler the satisfaction. Why? Because of this ice road. Because of drivers like Maksim, who crossed that frozen lake night after night, knowing each trip might be their last. Because 2.5 million people simply refused to die. September 8th, 1941, 11:35 in the morning. The German Army Group North completes the encirclement of Leningrad. The final gap is closed near Schlüsselburg on Lake Ladoga's southern shore. The city is now completely surrounded on land. cut off from the rest of the Soviet Union, trapped. Leningrad is the USSR's second-largest city, about 2.5 million people, a major industrial center producing tanks, artillery, ammunition, a cultural capital with world-famous museums and theaters, founded by Peter the Great in 1703. Russians consider it the jewel of their country. Adolf Hitler wants it completely destroyed, not captured like Paris or Warsaw. Destroyed, eliminated, erased from existence. Why such intense hatred for one city? Because Leningrad represents everything the Nazis despise. It's the birthplace of Soviet communism, the city where Lenin launched the October Revolution in 1917. Named after Lenin himself. In Hitler's ideology, destroying Leningrad means symbolic annihilation of Bolshevism. The Wehrmacht positions hundreds of artillery pieces around the city. They don't need to capture it, just prevent anyone from leaving or entering. Then starvation becomes inevitable. A city of 2.5 million consumes enormous amounts of food daily. Cut that off, and mass death is just mathematics. Inside Leningrad, the reaction is surprisingly calm at first. Sieges happen during war. The Red Army will break through. Soviet counteroffensives will shatter the encirclement. Relief is coming. This is temporary, but relief doesn't come. The Red Army tries repeatedly. The Sinyavino offensive in September. The Tikhvin offensive in November. Each time, Soviet forces throw themselves against German positions. Each time, they're repelled with massive casualties. The encirclement holds. Leningrad remains trapped. By October, city officials face reality. The food situation is catastrophic. Warehouses were stocked for normal peacetime consumption, not for 2.5 million people trapped indefinitely with zero resupply. Officials calculate the reserves. At current consumption, the city has approximately 35 days of food, maybe less. Rationing is implemented. Strict, unprecedented rationing. The system divides the population into categories. Category 1. Workers in essential industries. 400 grams of bread per day, plus 150 grams of meat or fish, plus 100 grams of fat. The highest ration for people whose labor is critical. Category 2. Office workers and non-manual laborers. 200 grams of bread per day, plus 50 grams of meat. Enough to survive. Barely. Category 3. Dependents, including children and elderly. 200 grams of bread per day. Nothing else. Just bread. 200 grams is less than half a normal loaf. That's your entire daily food. A normal adult needs roughly 2,000 calories daily. This provides maybe 500. You will starve. Slowly, but inevitably. People try to adapt. Gardens are planted everywhere with soil. Parks become potato fields. Every square meter is used. People harvest everything before winter. There won't be another growing season. The city's pet population disappears quickly. Cats, dogs, anything with meat. The parks and streets, normally full of pigeons and crows, become empty. People trap and eat the birds. Then November arrives, and with it, the Russian winter. Temperature drops to -20 Celsius, then -30. One of the coldest winters in decades. The kind that destroyed Napoleon's army. The kind German soldiers are learning to fear. And on November 20th, 1941, the rations are cut drastically. New allocation. Workers receive 250 grams of bread daily. Everyone else receives 125 grams. 125 grams. 2 thin slices. That's your entire food for 24 hours. And it's not even real bread. Flour supplies are nearly exhausted. Bakeries mix whatever they can find. Roughly 50% rye flour, 10% bran, 10% cottonseed cake, 10% sawdust, 10% cellulose from paper, 10% miscellaneous fillers including bark. The resulting substance is dark brown, almost black, dense and heavy. It smells wrong. Eating it causes stomach pain because humans can't digest sawdust and cellulose. It passes through without providing nutrition. But it fills your stomach, tricks your brain into thinking you've eaten. People begin dying, not from bombs, from starvation, from their bodies consuming themselves. By December, people are collapsing in the streets, falling from weakness and never getting up. Bodies appear on sidewalks, frozen solid because there's no one strong enough to move them. The city is dying. But Lake Ladoga is starting to freeze solid. Lake Ladoga is enormous. 17,700 square kilometers, one of Europe's largest freshwater lakes. In summer, it's a shipping route. In winter, when temperatures drop low enough, the surface freezes. Not uniformly, not safely, but it freezes. Soviet engineers study the problem desperately. They need to get supplies into Leningrad. Every land route is cut off by Germans. Air supply is dangerous and can't provide enough volume for 2.5 million people. That leaves the lake. If the ice gets thick enough, they could drive trucks across it. Build a supply road on the frozen surface. Truck food in and evacuate civilians out. The idea is brilliant and insane. The engineering problems are massive, almost insurmountable. First, ice thickness requirements. A standard Gaz AA truck weighs about 2 tons empty. Loaded with cargo, 5 to 7 tons total. To support that weight safely, ice needs to be at least 20 centimeters thick, preferably 25 to 30. But Lake Ladoga doesn't freeze evenly. Wind and currents create pressure ridges where ice buckles and cracks. The ice might be 40 centimeters in one spot and 10 centimeters 5 meters away. Second, weight distribution. When a heavy vehicle drives across ice, it creates pressure waves in the water beneath. These waves can crack the ice from below. The solution is spacing. Trucks must maintain distance from each other, but spacing reduces efficiency. If trucks stay 100 meters apart, a convoy of 300 stretches 30 kilometers. Third, the enemy. Germans know about Lake Ladoga. They position artillery to shell the route. They send bombers to attack convoys. Fourth, weather. Warm days weaken ice. Storms create waves that crack it. Blizzards reduce visibility to 0. Fifth, time. The lake is only frozen solid enough for vehicles from roughly mid-November through early April, about 4.5 months. In that time, they need to move enough supplies to keep 2.5 million people alive. Despite everything, they have no choice. Build the road or watch the city starve. On November 20th, 1941, engineers decide the ice is about 18 centimeters thick. Not quite safe. But people are dying. They can't wait. They organize a test convoy. Light trucks with reduced loads. Maybe 1 to 2 tons per vehicle instead of 5. The drivers are all volunteers. Everyone understands this is extremely dangerous. The ice might not hold. German artillery might find them. This is a potential suicide mission. The convoy sets out at night. Headlights off to avoid German spotters. Navigating by moonlight and courage. They cross successfully. 30 kilometers of frozen lake. The ice groans and cracks, but holds. The trucks deliver cargo to Leningrad, then load evacuees and return. The road of life is born. Over the next weeks, December into January, Soviet engineers labor to turn this into an organized route. They survey ice thickness constantly. They mark the safest route with wooden poles driven into the ice every 50 meters. Follow the poles. You're probably safe. Stray from them. You're on your own. They establish warming stations on the ice, tiny shacks with stoves where drivers can briefly warm up. The shacks are spaced every few kilometers. They create strict traffic regulations. Trucks must maintain 50 meters minimum spacing. Maximum speed is 35 kilometers per hour because faster creates larger pressure waves. Absolutely no stopping except at warming stations. If ice starts cracking, abandon the vehicle immediately. They assign mobile repair teams, mechanics with tools and spare parts. If a truck breaks down at minus 40 degrees, you have maybe 20 minutes to repair it before the engine freezes solid. If it can't be fixed quickly, push it aside and leave it, and they accept the losses. Trucks do break through the ice, constantly. Drivers drown. Cargo is lost. But for every truck that sinks, 4 or 5 make it through, and those carry food that keeps thousands alive another day. The mathematics are brutal but simple. Lose one driver, save 1,000 civilians. The drivers understand. They keep driving anyway. December 1941 through February 1942. The worst months, when most people die. The 125-gram ration isn't enough to sustain life. An adult needs approximately 2,000 calories daily. This provides 400 to 500 at most. Your body makes up the deficit by consuming itself. First, fat reserves burn. Most Leningraders don't have much stored fat anymore after months of reduced rations. Then muscle tissue breaks down. You become weak. Walking becomes exhausting. Climbing stairs leaves you gasping. Then organs fail. Heart irregularities, kidney problems, immune collapse. Even a minor cold becomes life-threatening. Then death, usually quietly. You lie down and don't wake up, or you collapse in the street and freeze before anyone can help. What do people eat when the bread runs out? Wallpaper paste. Old buildings used flour-based adhesive. People scrape wallpaper off walls, boil the paste, eat it. Leather belts and shoes. Boiled for hours to soften. The leather is indigestible, but it's something to chew. Books. Specifically, the glue binding pages together. Furniture. Burned for heat or boiled into wood pulp. People try to eat, even though wood is indigestible cellulose. Every dog and cat in Leningrad is eaten within months. Then, people hunt rats, trap pigeons and crows. The animal population drops to nearly zero. And then, cannibalism begins. This is what Soviet authorities tried to hide for decades. But it happened. Police records document over 2,000 arrests for use of human flesh for food. The real number is certainly higher. 2 categories: necrophagy, eating people already dead; bodies in streets; frozen corpses in apartments. Most cases fall here. And murder for meat. Killing specifically to eat. Usually targeting children because they're easier victims. Police create special units to hunt these predators. Punishment is execution. The city doesn't talk about it officially. Too shameful. But everyone knows. One of the most famous testimonies is the diary of 11-year-old Tanya Savicheva. Tanya lives with her family when the siege begins. Large family, grandmother, mother, siblings, uncles. She keeps a small notebook, writes only when family members die. Her entries are brief, heartbreaking. Zhenya died on December 28th at 12 noon, 1941. Her sister, age 32. Starvation. Grandma died on January 25th at 3 p.m., 1942. Leka died on March 17th at 5 a.m., 1942. Her brother, age 24. Uncle Vasya died on April 13th at 2 in the morning, 1942. Uncle Lyosha died on May 10th at 4 p.m. 1942. Mama died on May 13th at 7:30 a.m. 1942. 6 entries, 5 months, 6 deaths, her entire family. The final entry. Savachevs died. Everyone died. Only Tanya remains. Tanya is evacuated across the ice road in 1942. But the damage is done. Months of malnutrition destroyed her digestive system. She dies in a hospital in July 1944 from tuberculosis and intestinal disease. Age 14. Her diary survives. Today it's displayed at the Piskaryovskoye Memorial Cemetery Museum. 6 pages. 9 death entries. The voice of 1.5 million victims. The cold is equally deadly. There's no fuel. Coal exhausted by November. No natural gas. Electricity is intermittent at best. No fuel means no heat. Indoor temperatures drop to match outdoor. -20, -30. Inside your home. People burn every piece of furniture. Tables, chairs, bookshelves. When furniture is gone, they burn books. When books are gone, they tear up floorboards. Eventually, nothing's left, and the cold is inescapable. Water pipes freeze solid. No running water. People melt snow for drinking. But melting snow requires fire. People die of thirst in a city surrounded by ice. They sleep fully dressed. Coats, hats, gloves, under every blanket. Families huddle together for warmth. Many go to sleep and never wake. Hypothermia takes them quietly. Bodies freeze wherever they fall. In beds, on streets. The ground is frozen too hard to dig graves. The living are too weak anyway. Bodies accumulate. But despite this death, the city continues functioning. Factories keep producing. Workers too weak to stand sit at machines, produce ammunition, tank parts. Production drops, but never stops. Schools remain open. Teachers teach. Students attend in unheated buildings, everyone bundled in coats. But education continues. Most incredibly, the Leningrad Philharmonic continues performing. On August 9th, 1942, in the middle of the siege, they performed Dmitri Shostakovich's 7th Symphony, the Leningrad Symphony. The musicians are starving, many so weak they can barely hold instruments. Several die during rehearsals and are replaced. Conductor Karl Eliasberg is emaciated, can barely stand for the 80-minute performance. But he conducts. The concert is broadcast on loudspeakers throughout the city and toward German lines so enemy soldiers can hear. The message is clear. You haven't defeated us. We're still here. Still human. Still creating beauty while you destroy. Some German soldiers reportedly cry. Others are terrified. This city should be dead. Instead, it's performing symphonies. The city refuses to die quietly. The road of life operates during 2 main winters, 1941 to 42 and 1942 to 43. Winter 1941 to 42 is chaos. Learning through catastrophic failures. The route is marked with wooden poles every 50 meters. These are your lifeline. Follow them and you're on safe ice. Lose sight and you're heading toward thin spots. Traffic flows both ways. Inbound convoys carry food, ammunition, fuel. Outbound carry evacuees, children, elderly, wounded. Most travel at night. Darkness provides protection from German artillery and bombers. But navigation is incredibly difficult. The drivers are mostly women. Men are at the front fighting. Women volunteer for ice road duty. Many in their 40s and 50s. They receive minimal training. How to drive, the route. What to do if ice breaks. What to do if ice breaks. Jump out immediately. The truck sinks in 30 to 60 seconds. If you're inside when it goes under, you drown. The water is -1 degree. You have maybe 3 to 5 minutes before hypothermia makes you unconscious. Swim to thick ice. Pull yourself out. Other trucks won't stop because stopping is against regulations. Women drive with no heat despite -40 outside. Heating uses fuel needed in the city. Windows stay open so they can escape quickly. Each crossing takes 2 to 3 hours if nothing goes wrong. Some drivers make multiple trips daily. A few complete 50, even 80 trips over winter. Some die on their first. Things go wrong constantly. Ice failure is most common. Ice cracks. Surface gives way. Water floods up. The truck tilts and sinks. Driver has maybe 30 seconds. Most don't make it. German artillery shells the route constantly. Can't see clearly in darkness, but fire randomly hoping to get lucky. Sometimes they hit trucks directly. Sometimes shells crack ice, causing trucks to break through later. Luftwaffe bombers attack when visibility allows. Bombs don't need direct hits. Blasts crack ice. Trucks fall through. Mechanical failures are constant at -40. Metal becomes brittle. Rubber cracks. Engines freeze. If a truck can't be fixed in 20 minutes, it's abandoned. Blizzard whiteouts are terrifying. Zero visibility. Can't see marker poles. Drivers become disoriented, lose the route, drive in circles, or wander onto thin ice. Statistics from winter 1941 to 42. Supplies delivered: 361,109 tons. Food, ammunition, fuel. Not enough to end starvation, but enough to slow it. People evacuated: 554,186. Mostly children, elderly, wounded. Vehicles lost: approximately 1,000 to 1,400 trucks. Most unrecoverable at the lake bottom. Driver casualties: unknown exact number. Hundreds confirmed killed. Actual number probably over 1,000. Despite horrific losses, the ice road works, saves the city. Not perfectly, but well enough to prevent total collapse. Winter 1942 to 43 sees improvements. Better surveying, more warming stations, stronger defenses. Most importantly, it's colder. Ice freezes earlier, thicker, more stable. Supplies delivered: 211,691 tons. Lower because by this point the siege has been partially broken and limited land routes exist. Fewer vehicles lost per ton delivered. More efficient operations. Dmitri Shostakovich, the composer, is 35 when the siege begins. Already internationally famous. Could have evacuated early. Chooses to stay. During early months, he works as a volunteer firefighter. Climbs rooftops, putting out fires from German incendiary bombs. A world-renowned composer fighting fires. He continues composing between raids. His Symphony No. 7, the Leningrad Symphony, is started during the siege. First 3 movements completed while bombs fall and people starve. The music is defiant. The famous invasion theme uses repetitive mechanical orchestration mimicking German forces advancing. Building louder. Then crashing into chaotic resistance. Shostakovich is evacuated by aircraft in October 1941. Finishes the symphony in Kuibyshev. August 9, 1942. Leningrad premiere. During active siege. Orchestra starving. Musicians so weak they can barely hold instruments. Several died during rehearsals. Broadcast throughout the city and to German positions. Every German soldier within 30 kilometers hears it. Message to Germans: you haven't beaten us. We're dying, but still here. Still creating art while you only destroy. Some German soldiers are moved to tears. Others terrified. This city should be dead. Instead, performing new symphonies. Vera Inber is a poet and journalist, keeps detailed diary throughout the siege, later published as Leningrad Diary. Her entries are clinical, factual, describing horror without emotion, because emotion would make continuing impossible. December 1941. People dying in streets. You walk past bodies and step around them. After a while, you stop noticing. Your mind protects itself. January 1942. Went to bakery for ration. Line was long. 3 people collapsed waiting. Dead or unconscious, don't know. Line didn't stop. We waited. February 1942. Saw woman pulling child's sled. Small body wrapped in blankets. Her child, I assume. Taking it somewhere to bury. But where? Ground frozen, solid. Vera survives. Evacuated late 1942. Her diary becomes crucial testimony. Olga Bergholz is a poet working at Leningrad radio throughout the siege. Her job? Broadcast to the city. Keep morale from collapsing. Give people reason to keep living. She broadcasts daily. Poetry, news, encouragement. Her voice becomes the voice of Leningrad. She's starving like everyone, suffering scurvy and dysentery. So weak she can barely walk to the station. But broadcasts anyway. Her most famous poem? No, not for laurels, not for glory. We went through this terrible hell. We saved you, Leningrad. We gave our lives for your sake. Simple words capturing why people keep fighting when hopeless. Not believing they'll survive, but to save something larger, to preserve the city, to make suffering meaningful. Olga survives, becomes a Soviet icon, the Madonna of Leningrad, lives until 1975. Maksim Tverdokhleb, our opening driver, is real. Volunteers for ice road duty. Serves 2 full winters. Makes 83 confirmed crossings. Actual number probably higher. January 22nd, 1942. His truck breaks through. He throws himself out, swims through -40 water toward thick ice. The cold is instant and total. His wet clothes freeze solid in seconds. He reaches thick ice, pulls himself out, lies gasping, unable to move. Another truck approaches. Driver sees Maxim. Should not stop per regulations. Stops anyway. Opens door. Get in! Maxim crawls in. Driver wraps him in blankets. Drives to shore where there's medical help. Maxim survives. Treated for severe hypothermia and frostbite. 2 weeks recovering. Then volunteers to return. Why? People in the city are starving. Someone has to bring food. That's my job. Completes 83 crossings over 2 winters. Survives the war. Lives to age 73. Dies 1986 from natural causes. Buried with full military honors as Hero of the Soviet Union. January 1943. Red Army launches Operation Iskra, Operation Spark. Goal: break the siege ring. Create a land corridor. The offensive lasts 17 days. January 12th through 29th. Fighting is brutal. Germans defend desperately. Soviet forces take massive casualties. Throw division after division against fortified positions. Pay for every meter with blood. But they succeed. They create a corridor. Narrow, 8 to 10 kilometers wide. German artillery can still shell it. But it exists. A railway is hastily constructed. The corridor of death, because shells land constantly. But trains can run. Supplies flow. Leningrad is no longer completely isolated. The stranglehold is broken. Throughout 1943, supplies improve. Not abundance, but enough. Rations increase. Workers receive 700 grams daily. Others, 500. Still not enough for full health, but enough to stop mass starvation. People stop collapsing in streets. Factories increase output. The city begins recovering. Gardens are planted. Some normalcy returns. But the siege continues. Artillery still in range. Shells still fall. People still die. Just not in horrific numbers. January 1944. Red Army launches final offensive. Leningrad-Novgorod Offensive. Codename Operation Polar Star. Objective: destroy German Army Group North completely. This isn't the desperate Red Army of 1941. This is 1944. Soviets have learned. They've mastered German tactics, know how to mass artillery, coordinate infantry and armor, how to win. Millions of troops, thousands of tanks, artillery bombardments making earth shake for kilometers. Germans fight defensive actions trying to slow the advance, but they're pushed back steadily. January 27, 1944. 8 p.m. The siege is declared over. Germans pushed back far enough they can no longer shell or blockade. Fireworks explode over Leningrad. Victory salute. Loudspeakers throughout the city. Citizens of Leningrad, the siege is over. Leningrad is free. People cry, laugh, hug strangers. Some dance despite weakness, despite years of trauma. 872 days. September 8, 1941 to January 27, 1944. The human cost is incomprehensible. Official Soviet records, 632,000 dead. Modern historians, 1.5 million. Maybe 2 million. Nobody knows exactly. Too many bodies never counted. Too many disappeared without records. The city's population dropped from 2.5 million to fewer than 600,000. Over 1.9 million gone. Most died from starvation. Not bombs. Hunger. After liberation, Leningrad is devastated. Buildings destroyed. Parks turned to graveyards. Trees gone, cut for firewood. But it survived. Didn't surrender. Hitler wanted it erased. It stands. Stalin names it a hero city. Survivors carry trauma forever. PTSD. Physical damage never fully healing. But they survived. Why didn't they surrender? This question historians constantly ask. The siege was unwinnable. The city was dying. Surrender would have saved lives. Why fight? Several reasons. Soviet orders. Not one step back. Surrender meant execution. Officers who surrendered were tried for treason. Better to die fighting than be shot as traitor. Nazi intentions were clear. Leningraders knew what happened in occupied territories. Mass murders. Death camps. Deliberate starvation of POWs. Surrender didn't mean safety, it meant different death. Cultural significance. Leningrad wasn't just a city. Peter the Great's city. The revolution's cradle. Lenin's city. To surrender was surrendering Russian identity. Sheer spite. At some point, it became personal. Hitler wanted them dead. Wanted the city erased. Ultimate victory was staying alive, denying Hitler his wish. So they didn't surrender. They starved, froze, died, but didn't give up. The road of life's contribution cannot be overstated. Saved approximately 500,000 to 600,000 lives through evacuation. Delivered over 360,000 tons. Without it, the city would have died completely by March 1942. Germans would have walked into a dead city of corpses. The ice road prevented that. Through determination. Drivers crossing frozen lake night after night, knowing they might die. Going anyway. Today, the legacy is preserved. The route across Lake Ladoga is marked with memorial poles. Rusted trucks pulled from the lake are in museums. Most famous memorial, the Broken Ring. Massive concrete arch on Lake Ladoga shore. Broken in middle, symbolizing how the siege ring was broken. Piskaryovskoye Memorial Cemetery, 420,000 victims. Mass graves. Granite wall with Olga Berggoltz's words, "No one is forgotten. Nothing is forgotten." Tanya Savicheva's diary is displayed at the State Memorial Museum behind glass. 6 pages, 9 deaths. Savichev's died. Everyone died. Only Tanya remains. Millions have read it. Understood what it represents? Tanya didn't survive. Died age 14. But her words survived. Her testimony. What is the lesson? Leningrad proves humans are capable of unimaginable cruelty and unimaginable endurance. Nazis tried erasing a city, besieged it 872 days, wanted 2.5 million to starve, bombed it, shelled it. The city survived, not through genius, not through technology, through pure refusal to die, through truck drivers crossing frozen lakes in -40, knowing they might drown, through mothers protecting children despite having no food, through musicians performing symphonies while starving, through 2.5 million people who had every reason to give up and chose not to. Hitler wanted Leningrad erased. Today, St. Petersburg has 5.6 million people. Thriving, growing, living, the city won. The road of life operated 2 winters, 1941 to 42. 361,000 tons delivered. 554,000 evacuated. 1942 to 43. 211,000 tons delivered. Approximately 1,400 vehicles lost. Thousands of drivers died. Exact number unknown. But the city survived. Today, Lake Ladoga freezes every winter. Memorial poles stand on shore. Route is marked. Museums preserve stories. Every January 27th, St. Petersburg remembers 872 days, remembers 1.5 million dead, remembers the ice road, remembers drivers who crossed 30 kilometers of frozen lake under German artillery in -40 temperatures, knowing every trip might be last. They did it anyway, because people were dying, and someone had to drive. The siege ended. The city survived. The lesson remains: never underestimate people who refuse to die.